Welcome to another episode of Parenting Teens Advice Redefined for Today's World, where we have those real, raw, and honest conversations in supporting parents and then in turn supporting our teens, raising these amazing, confident, caring, compassionate human beings into the world. And today's conversation is one so many parents of teens are desperately craving. I am joined by Chantal Dempsey, an award-winning mindset and confidence coach, NLP expert, and master hypnotherapist whose work has helped countless people rebuild confidence from the inside out. What makes this conversation especially powerful is we're not talking about confidence as something teens have or don't have, but we're unpacking how confidence is built and how often unintentionally undermined, and what parents can do, starting with themselves, to raise teens to trust themselves, speak up, and navigate the world with resilience. If you've ever wondered how to support your teens' confidence without pushing, fixing, or controlling, this episode will meet you right where you are. Welcome, Chantal. I'm so happy you're here.
Thank you so much for having me, Cheryl. I'm really excited to be here.
Let's start with your story. Why are you here? What are you doing? What's your mission? Tell us all the good things about Chantal and why you're on my show right now.
Well, I'm on your show because I love it, and I think you're amazing, Cheryl. And I am a parent of 3 teenagers myself, so this is very, very relevant to me. My mission is to, there's a couple of sides to it. The first one is to really get everybody to understand that confidence is something that is accessible and available to absolutely everyone. It isn't something that I hear this all the time. I am just not a confident person. Well, you can be, and it's available to everyone. So my first mission is to spread that message that it is available to you who listens, to absolutely everyone. And the second thing is, of course, to help as many people as possible to get as confident as possible. In a nutshell.
I love it. And so let's just start with the whole word confidence. Like, what does it, not just in our teens and in ourselves, but what does confidence actually look like in our teenagers? How do we know if we're looking at our kid going, oh yeah, they've got it, they're confident, or we're going, we need some work here? What does it look like?
That's a great question, Cheryl. I would say probably, we could talk about this for hours and hours, but if I had to summarize it in one sentence, I would say probably it would look like feeling safe to be themselves, be okay with who they are, and feeling safe acting and being themselves. And so that's the main aspect of it, to be and feel confident. The other aspect is to be okay with the uncertain. So to whatever happens, have that emotional resilience to believe that they're going to be okay and they're going to be able to handle it.
Yeah, I love that answer, because I love that this whole word for me this year is equanimity. Like, just whatever happens, I am steadfast and calm, and and it doesn't mean that we don't feel whatever's happening, but that we know that it's not going to rock us to our core. We're going to feel it. We're going to let it go. And I'm 60. It's taking me that many years to figure this out. So I want to bridge that gap on this conversation for our kids. And so I would love to say, and we talked about this before we even jumped on. I was in the shower this morning where all the ideas come, and I'm like, I think parents sometimes, we love our confidence in our kids until it is not convenient, until we decide we have these kids in front of us who are speaking up and telling us how they feel about how we're parenting or our decisions or what we're wearing and all of that. And now it's like, oh, I don't think I like you being confident right now. So can we talk about that? Like, how can we make it safe for kids to do that?
So I think the first thing is, if your kids tell you things like that, it's actually excellent news, because it means that they feel safe with you. And they feel that they can say these things. And I know, some conversations are about when they don't feel safe, and they and when they don't feel safe is not a prime environment to build confidence, whereas feeling safe at home is. So that's the first thing to say. So when your kid is kind of being a bit, when you wish that they weren't so confident, like you say, the first thing to do is tap yourself on the shoulder and think, actually, yes, I've created an environment where they feel safe enough to tell me this. The second element is there is a line between a difference between confidence and arrogance. So this is a line that is very muddy sometimes. So when somebody who is confident isn't going to be putting other people down. And this is where the line is between confidence and arrogance. Well, one of them anyway. When you feel confident and you feel good about yourself, you don't feel the need to elevate yourself. You actually elevate other people at the same time. And so, depending on how it feels, what they're saying, it might be actually not necessarily a sign of confidence, if that makes sense.
Yes. Okay, so let's put this in real time. Your kid is having this conversation with you and it feels arrogant.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't want to say, go to your room, I don't want to talk about this anymore. You want to say, okay, that's arrogance. Let's transfer this into a confident conversation. What would that sound like?
Let me think about this for a second. I would say I would go from the approach of, I would remember, and I'll answer your question in a second, Cheryl. I think one thing that I remind myself as a parent all the time is that there are things that I know and I have a perspective from, being 51 years old and having lived and having this perspective and this knowledge of things and this experience, which my kid in front of me doesn't have. And the first thing I remind myself is I am here as a parent to show them and well, educate them. I can't think of a better word. It's probably not a very good word, but to show them and teach them and nurture them through this. So even though my first reaction might be kind of to take it personally and be annoyed, I would kind of think, well, okay, my role is this. So I would then explain, when you say that, this is how it makes me feel. So I would explain, I wouldn't criticize the behavior. I would explain the consequences of that behavior and then suggest a better one, a more helpful one. Having said that, Cheryl, sometimes they won't listen. So this is the theory behind it, right?
Yes.
So if I then start saying, well, what you're saying is a bit hurtful, and let me explain this, in theory, that would be great. In practice, they might just kind of lift their eyes to the floor, to the ceiling, and then walk away.
Yeah.
But ideally, if they don't want to listen to it, then I will find another time to talk about it and say, this is what you said, this is how it made me feel. Look at it from somebody else's perspective.
Yeah. And I think because if we are shutting our kids down in their arrogance, in their attempt to be confident, but in their arrogance, it's not just at the home. It's not just in the house, in those four walls where we want our kids to be confident. Because if they build those skills and we're having these conversations, now they're moving into the workplace and they're not taking orders from an authoritative figure that they're not supposed to take orders from. Or peer pressure, or like all of this, like confidence comes from within in all of these situations. So I would caution parents to, like, how do we have the conversation with our kids too, to say, you know what, I like what you're trying to do here, but let's turn it around because this is great. Like to build them up and say, yeah, I love that you're talking back to me. But there's a different way to do this where you're going to get the result you're looking for.
Yes, exactly. And I love that because it's coaching them into a more helpful way to actually get to what they want. So it's the and I think it's also the line. Ultimately, it's you and we talked about this before, Cheryl. It's how it's that line between being the parent and being supportive and empowering and all of these things, but at the same time, well, no, don't talk to me like that, and you cannot be rude, and you have to be respectful, whilst at the same time teaching them to stand up for themselves. And so it's. I mean, I feel exhausted just talking about It's such a fine line, and sometimes it's very blurry, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. And we're never perfect. I mean, we're not going to be perfect with this.
No, of course.
But I think, in my history, like if I could go back as a parent, there's a million times where I should have said, okay, there's another way to say that, and let me help you with that, instead of get your ass to your room and don't come down until you know how to talk to me.
Yeah.
Because now I've got these two grown-ass adults that I want to talk back to people, because I'm the existential people pleaser. I recognize that in myself. I don't want my kids to be these people pleasers. I want them to be able to say, no, that doesn't feel good.
Yeah. And you said something there actually, Cheryl, which reminded me of a tool that you as into everyone can apply straight away. And it's replaced should with could. And this is so important, because if you replace that, not just when you talk to yourself, but when you talk to your kids, it changes everything. Instead of saying you should have done this, you could say you could have done this, and it just takes away the judgment, but says the same thing.
I love that.
Yeah, I use this all the time, and I always tell my clients about this. And you have to catch yourself, because even I, who knows this and teaches this, and I catch myself saying, oh, I should have done this like that, or no, hang on, backtrack. I could have done this. Mm-hmm. And for children, I find, obviously I do that with my kids. It makes a big difference, because they are more willing to listen if you suggest an alternative way they could have done something, or they could do something, rather than what they should do. Because as soon as you say should, it puts you straight away, puts your back up straight 100%. Away.
Yeah, I mean, it would for me too. So yeah. That's such a good point. So I want to talk about like the mindset, the whole like nervous system when it comes to being confident. How can, our parents in general react? And, we do everything out of love, and this is never a judgment against parents. However, episode 5, 100 million years ago, I did a helicopter parent episode. And because I worked with parents for 25 years in the school system, I saw the effects of being a helicopter parent, the rescuing, the lecturing, the worrying. Tell me, aside from a million different skills they're not building with this, what is the impact on a teen's self-trust and confidence when we are doing these things for them?
It's huge. And I do work a lot with anxiety, because anxiety and confidence are at either end of the spectrum. Yes. And I can tell you now, and this is without judgment at all, but I would say the immense majority of people who feel anxious have had helicopter parents or anxious parents. When you're constantly on your kid, telling them not to do that, or verifying or helping, you're essentially saying to them, you're not capable of doing that yourself. And you are effectively really hindering the confidence. Sorry, you were going to say something, Cheryl.
No. I'm totally agreeing with you right now.
Yes. Yeah. And I work a lot with the subconscious, and I'm a great believer in, it's not even a believer, it's very evidence-based that the subconscious mind and all the subconscious processes is actually what starts the programs that are running confidence or anxiety or self-belief or not, depending on how you've grown up a lot, and mostly what kind of thoughts you've had throughout your life. Mm-hmm. So when you're a kid and your parent is a helicopter parent and never lets you do things by yourself, never really empowers you, never really, causes this environment where you feel everything has to be double checked or safety proofed, then you end up having this thought a lot of, I can't do this myself. I'm not able to do this myself. It's not safe. And so you grow up like this, building this huge neural pathway in your brain of, I can't do it. It's not safe. So you end up being very anxious. You end up feeling very anxious. You end up lacking confidence, doubting yourself, second guessing yourself all the time. And so the remedy, the way to fix this, the way to not do that as a parent, is to empower. And as hard as it can be sometimes, and you know, you're not going to go from one extreme to the other. You can go in increments, but it's to empower and say, you know, if you don't know what to say, just even say things. I believe you can do this. And if you fail, that's okay. You learn from it, and then you can get up and learn from it and try something else. And I'll be there to support you. But you're there to support, not to do it for them. So.
Yeah, there was so much evidence in this in school where parents, and I'm going to give examples, because if you hear me say something, you're like, oh shit, I did that. It's time to stop. I'll have parents calling me in September saying, oh, Marky has this teacher and I don't like this teacher, and the neighbor's friend's daughter had this teacher and she marks too hard and she doesn't like boys, or she blah, blah, blah. Listen, my first question is, or my first statement is, teachers are not allowed to pick and choose their students, because they are given who comes into their classroom because it's inclusive. And now we're teaching your kid to be inclusive of everybody, all personalities. This is character building. And let's look into the future when they go get a job and they don't like their supervisor. Whose door are you knocking on? Because nobody's opening it for you. Like, no. So it's these little things these are the conversations. I know you're not happy with this teacher, but you know what? We all are going to deal with different personalities. You don't have to love them, but you're going to sit in that classroom with some respect and no judgment. You don't have an opinion if you've never had this teacher. Like, these sorts of things, you know what? And it comes as early as, oh, they forgot their lunch again and they're running it to school, or their homework didn't get done. So I'm just pulling it all together and throwing it in the car and driving in a snowstorm to take it to school. That's not how it works. Do you think your kid is going to be hungry every day if they forgot their lunch once or twice and you didn't bring it? Right. So it's these little skills of confidence, I think, too.
Yes.
I'd love to ask, can a parent look at their kid, and I know we said what confidence looks like, but can a parent tell the difference in their teens, whether their actions or their words, between lacking confidence or they're just protecting themselves, or just like navigating fear? Like, can we tell the difference, and how would we talk to our kids if we're seeing that?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. I think there might be, and this might clarify it, there's also a slight difference between self-esteem and confidence. And self-esteem, which is essentially self-worth, is your sense of self-worth. So self-esteem is your sense of self-worth, is what you believe about yourself, is how well you rate yourself, essentially, not to find a better way of explaining it. Whereas confidence is more in terms of action, in terms of how you maybe come across, not necessarily come across to others, but how you believe that you can do things. So you can have one without the other. But what's most common is to have self-worth without confidence. So you believe you're okay, you're a good person, you're good, you feel good enough, but you just don't have the confidence to go and talk to people, or to go and. Yeah. So that's a better. That's not a better way of being, but that's an easier way to build confidence. When the self-worth is there, it's easier to build confidence. Not to say that if you don't have much self-worth, you can't build confidence, because you can in all scenarios. And that's what sometimes happens, where you might see your kids feeling worthy, but they find it really hard to go and make friends, for example. Yeah. And so when that is the situation, you can start to look at more techniques and help them run scenarios, maybe, or give them tools and techniques to do things. When they lack self-worth, which is a trickier situation, then you want to really build their self-worth and look at where they lack self-worth, why they might lack self-worth. And maybe that's where you might consider and analyze yourself as a parent and see how you can help them more every day to empower them and make them feel more worthy. And as a parent, it's actually quite easy to create scenarios where you can help them. It can be just like, can you help me make dinner? And then that's an opportunity for them to praise them and to make them feel worthy. There are so many ways you can do that. So in terms of identifying it, I think, I think you feel it more than anything. And I know it's not very helpful because you want concrete advice, but I think you probably see it. If they seem generally quite happy and okay, their self-worth is probably okay. If they don't, and they say a lot things like, what the things you would be looking for are things like them saying, oh, I can't do anything right. I'm not good enough. No one likes me. Things like that are more red flags that you might want to really address.
Mm-hmm. And how do we address that?
So by asking them why they think that, how come they think that. So I would say approach it with curiosity. Because by saying, and your natural instinct as a parent would be to go and say, how can you say that? You're wonderful. Of course not. Everybody wants to be your friend. And, and I have done that. But that's not helpful because they don't believe it. Mm-hmm. So you want to approach it in a way where they're going to believe it. So you want to sit down with them. Or not sit down, because particularly with neurodiverse kids, sitting down, it doesn't help. So you want to be doing an activity and kind of talk around it, understand where it comes from, why they think that, and then you are probably the better person, the best suited person to make arrangements to make them think differently, to convince them. The good news is that as a kid, and the younger, the better in terms of building confidence and self-worth. Mm-hmm. So you can find things that you can praise. What's really important here is that it has to be specific and it has to be genuine. So it's not about them doing a rubbish drawing, for example, and saying, oh, that's so beautiful. And, they're going to see right through it and they're not going to believe it. Yeah. You have to pick things that are real and that they are genuinely going to feel proud for and highlight it to them. So one of the main essential ways to build confidence for kids and adults is to notice the good stuff about you. And the thing is, most people who lack confidence, most of us, I would say, you would notice things that you don't do well, the mistakes you make or the mess ups that you do, but you don't really notice all the good stuff about you. Yeah. And you can do the test, whoever's, you who's listening at home, you can do the test. Tell me 10 things that you've done badly in the last few days and tell me 10 things you've done really well. Just tell me three things you've done really well, 3 things you've done badly. It will come so much easier, the mistakes that you've made and the things that you haven't done well. And so you want to build that by making you focus, training your brain to focus on what you're doing well, because that builds trust in yourself. Mm-hmm. And the relationship with yourself is the same as the relationship with somebody else. So if you meet somebody and you've never met them before, and then that person starts to really do what they say they're going to do, and they turn up on time and they do really good stuff, and you notice that, you're going to really build trust in that person and trust them quite quickly and think well of them. The opposite is true. If that person never does what they say they're going to do, they never do nice things, you notice all the mistakes they make, you're going to not trust them. For you, it's the same. So you want your mind to focus on all the good stuff and reframe the bad stuff. And you can do that for yourself, for a start, to model, and then for your kids. Because if your kid hears you say all the time, oh, I can't do anything right, I'm so rubbish, then they're going to be modeling that. But you can do that for you. So celebrate yourself. I'm really glad I made this amazing dinner tonight, or I've done something really good at work today. I'm really proud of myself. and get your kids to celebrate it with you. And do the same for your kids. So when they've done something good, and it can be so simple, it can be, I really love the way you told me this story today. I really love how that was really polite and kind of you. Thank you. It can be anything. It can be, oh, I noticed that you tidied up your room today. I noticed that you've done your homework without me asking. That is so good. I'm really proud of you. Just genuine, real things that they can feel proud of. And then what you're doing is highlighting it, building their confidence, and teaching them how to do it for themselves.
Yeah, because our kids, sorry, here's a news alert. Our kids are not listening to us, but they're watching every move we make. And I think that's so vital to understand. You can just talk out of the side of your mouth all day long, but if you are hypocritical in your actions in the house, that's what they're picking up. And you answered my next leading thing, is that if parents are not feeling confident about themselves, how can they start with themselves? And I know, and you've answered some of that question already. If they're feeling really disconnected, where do they start? I mean, if they are lacking confidence, period, as a parent, I'm a terrible parent. I don't know what I'm doing. I yelled at them all day yesterday. I can't. Listen, I'm going to say one thing. If you're listening to these podcasts, you're not a terrible parent, because you're still learning and you're still trying, which means you're not failing. So I also want to ask you, what if parents are at the very bottom of the heap here saying, Chantal, I have zero confidence. I have zero confidence in my parenting. What would you say to them to start the conversation?
I would say, first of all, you've kept your kid alive. Well done. Brilliant. So that's great. The second thing is none of us are perfect parents. None of us are even good parents. I mean, what is a good parent? How there isn't a manual, is that we just learn kind of as we can. So I think the most important thing is, and it's about your perspective, right? You have to reframe that. If you're there thinking, if you're listening to this and you think, I'm an awful parent, I've made so many mistakes and I've messed up my kids, and I have felt like that. And I would imagine that every good parent actually has felt like that. So by you, exactly like you said, Cheryl, if you're listening to this podcast, if you're asking yourself this question, if you're reconsidering that, you are a good parent already, because a bad parent isn't even going to care. And the next thing is to start to really look at it from a different perspective. We all make mistakes. It isn't about being a perfect parent. It isn't about doing everything right. If you do everything right, you're not a good model either. I mean, hypothetically, if you did everything perfectly, you'd be an awful role model, because what you're teaching your kids is you have to be perfect all the time, which is one of the worst models you could possibly have. You want to actually look at what it is that today you feel you can do, and then do that one small thing. And it can be anything. It can be, it can be anything, any small thing that you feel capable of doing today, do that, and then celebrate yourself for it, because you have done it. And it's really about, when you make, but this modeling thing as well, if you feel that you've done something really wrong for your kids, apologize. Yes. And it's again, something that I learned too late on, I feel. And I wish I'd done that before. If I do something wrong, I apologize. I say, I'm really sorry. I know that was wrong of me. I shouldn't have done that. I'm really sorry. No, but I'm really sorry I did that, but you really stressed me out. No, just apologize. I shouldn't have done that. I reacted badly and I'm really sorry. That's it. And what you're teaching them is you make mistakes and that's really okay. And you can completely, all you do is you then apologize and then move forward. You can even ask, how can I make this right? What do you need? And this is something, if you're rock bottom and you really cannot think of a way out, you cannot think of how to be a better parent, ask your kids. So sit down with them and say, what do you need? How can I be a better parent? I want to be a better parent. What do you need? What can I do? And of course, not can I have a new PlayStation or, what can you do? Ask them, see what they say. And then pick the one thing that you feel you can do and then go from there. And start noticing at least one thing every day that you do well.
I wish we had had this conversation 35 years ago, because I'm telling you, I'm a parent coach. Yeah, I'm a parent advocate. But listen, when my kids were 13 and 14, did I apologize without the but? I don't think I did. I think I had, I'm really sorry I yelled, but you're pissing me off, or you didn't do what I told you, or there was always a condition to my apology, which negates the apology. I think that's so good. And I love that. I love just sitting down with your kids and saying, what do you need? How can I be better? We're just offering them permission to have honest, safe conversations, not just here and now, but moving on. I love that. That's so good. All right, Chantal, tell us, how can we work with you? How can we find you? All the good things, Chantal. This has been such a great conversation. I feel like we could go on and on and on, because it's such an important topic. And I think the whole, I can't get this whole apology thing out of my head, because as a mom, I did that. And I would like to say too, awareness is key number one. Yep, I went to bed tonight and I must have yelled at my kids all day long. So now you're aware of it. Why'd I yell at them? 99% of the time, I think we're yelling at our kids for no reason of what the kids did. It is not, we didn't have a voice when we were a kid, and now somebody's not paying attention to me and I'm supposed to be the boss. There's so many different triggers, but we also have the option to be aware, and we have the option to choose again every single moment. So if we catch ourselves, feeling, this does not feel like a very confident conversation, yes, we can stop and apologize, and we can decide right then and there, choose again, right?
Exactly.
I love that. So tell us all about you, Chantal. I think this has been such a great conversation.
Yeah, no, I agree, Cheryl. And, we could literally talk for hours. So I actually have just launched a new platform, which I'm so happy and excited about, because it's so affordable. It's $9 every month in a platform, in a group, which is called Get Confident. And it's available to everyone who wants to get confidence, regardless of your level of confidence. It's there for everyone. It's a live community. You get daily tools. You get live coaching with me every week. There's live challenges that we're going to be launching. And there's loads of tools and techniques and meditations and workbooks, everything that you need to get confident, to grow your confidence, and you've got a community that holds your hand with it. So this is really the main thing that I'm excited about at the moment, because this is for everyone. So
I love it. And we're going to put all of that in the show notes, and everything where we can get a hold of Chantal will be in the show notes. This has been gold, Chantal. I really appreciate your time. I was so excited for this conversation, and I think we might have to think of a sequel that we can do soon, because this was great. But thank you so much. I think we need to do this again. Thank you. And listen, if you are listening to this podcast, subscribe, download, share, do all the things, because this might not pertain to you today. But I can guarantee you know a teen, you love a teen, you teach a teen, somewhere in there's a teen in your world. And conversations like this change lives, because we do have parents sitting at home thinking, I'm failing, I have no idea where to start, I have no idea what to do. And then they hear these types of conversations. So by you sharing, you could just be changing someone's life without even knowing it. And there's no better gift. So I ask you to subscribe, download, share, and thank you for listening to Parenting Teens Advice Redefined. We will see you next time. Thank you for listening to another episode. I just wanted to share something with you because, parenting teens is not just about managing these challenges that we talk about on all the episodes. It's also about evolving alongside them. And I'm Cheryl, and not only the host of this podcast, but I'm also the creator of Insight to Impact Coaching and Consulting. And I help you, moms of teens, reconnect with your true selves so you can lead with purpose. You can parent with clarity. You can create stronger, more meaningful relationships with your kids. Because here's the truth. The transformation starts with you. Together, we will break free from the stress and overwhelm. We will rediscover your power. We will create the life and the family dynamic you always dreamed of. If you're ready to start this journey, let's do it. You might just not recognize your life in the next 90 days. It all starts with a call. There's no pitch. There's no pressure. Just a call to see if I can help. We'll talk about your goals. We'll talk about what's making you feel stuck and what might be getting in your way. And everything you need to connect with me is in the show notes. Again, I'm Cheryl. Thank you so much for joining me here on Parenting Teens, Advice Redefined for Today's Complex World, and the creator of Insight to Impact Coaching and Consulting. Have a great day.